The 2019 San Antonio Missions National Historical Park Quarter is a powerful tribute to one of America's most culturally significant and spiritually meaningful historic sites, and it was released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010 and concluded in 2021, showcasing national parks and sites from every state and territory, and this particular coin honors the San Antonio Missions located in San Antonio, Texas, a place where history, faith, culture, and resilience come together in a story that stretches back more than 3 centuries. The park preserves 4 of the 5 Spanish frontier missions, including Mission Concepcion, Mission San Jose, Mission San Juan, and Mission Espada, while the nearby Alamo, originally known as Mission San Antonio de Valero, stands separately, yet remains historically connected to the same Spanish colonial effort. These missions were established in the early 1700s by Spanish Franciscan friars with the goal of spreading Christianity among the indigenous peoples of the region and solidifying Spain's claim to the territory in what was then the northern frontier of New Spain. Over time, the missions became self-sustaining communities where Native Americans learned European agricultural techniques, trades, architecture, and religious practices, blending Spanish and indigenous traditions into a unique cultural identity that still defines much of South Texas. Today, the site later gained international recognition when it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2015, making it the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in Texas, and highlighting its global cultural importance. The United States Mint officially released the San Antonio Missions Quarter on August 26, 2019, and it represents Texas in the 10th year of the America the Beautiful series. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. And this design has been adapted and refined over decades while maintaining its classic dignity. The reverse of the 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter is deeply symbolic, featuring elements that represent the Spanish colonial real coin, and the cultural and religious foundations of the missions. At the center of the design is a Spanish colonial-style cross symbolizing Christianity and the missionary purpose that drove the establishment of the missions. Surrounding the cross are 4 quadrants, each containing a symbol representing the missions and the community, including a lion representing Spanish heritage, a wheat sheaf symbolizing agriculture and self-sufficiency, a bell representing daily life and the call to worship, and a flowing river symbolizing the San Antonio River, which sustained the mission communities and allowed them to flourish in a challenging frontier environment. The inscriptions include San Antonio Missions, Texas, 2019, and E Pluribus Unum, reinforcing both the local identity and the broader national unity. The coin was designed by United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program designer Chris Costello and sculpted by United States Mint medallic artist Michael Gaudioso. And together they created a design that echoes the shape of early Spanish silver coins known as reales, linking the visual heritage of colonial currency with modern American coinage. The quarter was minted at 3 facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with mint marks PD and S respectively. And collectors could obtain circulation quality coins as well as proof and silver-proof versions struck in 90% silver at the San Francisco Mint, making it appealing both to everyday Americans who encounter it in change and to dedicated numismatists who preserve pristine examples. The America the Beautiful Quarters program itself followed the immensely popular 50-State Quarters program and the District of Columbia and U.S. Territories series, and aimed to continue educating the public about national treasures, natural wonders, and historic landmarks through circulating coinage. And by the time the San Antonio Missions Quarter was released, millions of Americans had already developed a renewed interest in coin collecting. Inspired by these designs, the choice of San Antonio Missions as Texas's representative site reflected the profound historical impact of Spanish colonization missionary work, indigenous adaptation, and cultural blending that shaped not only Texas, but the broader American Southwest. The missions played a crucial role in forming early settlements, ranching traditions, irrigation systems known as acequias, and architectural styles that continue to influence the region today and even after secularization in the late 18th century, and the political transitions from Spanish to Mexican to Texan, and ultimately United States governance. The mission communities remained living parishes rather than abandoned ruins, which makes them unique among many colonial mission sites across North America during the 19th century. As Texas experienced revolution, annexation, and rapid growth, the missions endured periods of neglect, restoration, and renewed appreciation, culminating in federal protection and the establishment of San Antonio Missions National Historical Park under the administration of the National Park Service, ensuring their preservation for future generations. The 2019 quarter therefore represents not just a scenic landmark, but a living, cultural landscape, where descendants of mission communities still worship, celebrate, and maintain traditions that originated in the 18th century. And for collectors, the coin carries additional appeal because it combines striking symbolism, a distinctive quadranted design rarely seen in modern U.S. coinage, and the prestige of commemorating a UNESCO-recognized site. While most examples in circulation hold only face value, uncirculated high-grade specimens, proof coins, and silver proofs may carry premiums depending on condition and demand, especially those certified in top grades by major grading services. Yet beyond monetary value, the deeper worth of the San Antonio Missions Quarter lies in its storytelling power, because every time it passes from hand to hand, it sparks curiosity about the meeting of cultures, the resilience of communities, and the layered history of Texas from Spanish frontier outpost to modern American state. And in that sense, the coin fulfills the mission of the America the Beautiful series by transforming everyday pocket change into miniature works of art that celebrate the diverse heritage of the United States and remind viewers that the American story is not a single narrative, but a tapestry woven from indigenous roots, European exploration, faith, perseverance, and the enduring human desire to build community along the banks of a life-giving river in the heart of Texas. The story behind the 2019 San Antonio Missions National Historical Park Quarter becomes even more powerful when we look deeper into the centuries of change that shaped the missions and the land they stand on today. In the early 18th century, Spain was competing with France for control of vast territories in North America, and establishing missions in what is now Texas was both a religious and political strategy, because by converting and settling indigenous communities, Spain could strengthen its territorial claims and protect trade routes. The San Antonio River Valley proved ideal for this purpose because of its fertile soil and reliable water source, which allowed missionaries and Native Americans to build thriving agricultural communities using irrigation systems called acequias, many of which still function today and represent some of the oldest continuously used water systems in the United States. The missions were not simply churches, but complex communities that included workshops, granaries, living quarters, defensive walls, and farmland. And within these walls, indigenous groups such as the Coahuiltecans learned masonry, carpentry, blacksmithing, weaving, and farming techniques, blending their traditions with Spanish customs to form a new frontier culture. Over time, these missions became economic centers, producing crops, cattle, and goods that supported the broader Spanish colonial network across the region and helped lay the foundation for the ranching culture that later defined much of Texas history. By the late 18th century, the missions were secularized, meaning control shifted from the Franciscan missionaries to civil authorities, and many indigenous residents dispersed into surrounding communities. Yet the architectural legacy endured, especially at Mission San Jose, often called the Queen of the Missions, for its impressive stone church and ornate rose window, which stands as one of the finest examples of Spanish colonial architecture in North America. During the 19th century, as Mexico gained independence from Spain in 1821, and later as Texas fought for independence in 1836, the missions witnessed political upheaval, military movement, and social transformation. And although the nearby Alamo became world famous because of the Battle of the Alamo, The other 4 missions continued quietly serving local congregations and preserving traditions that connected present generations to their colonial past. In the 20th century, growing awareness of historic preservation led to efforts to protect the missions from deterioration, culminating in their designation as a National Historical Park in 1978 under the care of the National Park Service, which undertook extensive restoration and educational programming to interpret the site's layered history for millions of visitors each year. And when UNESCO recognized the missions as a World Heritage Site in 2015, it acknowledged not only their architectural beauty, but also their role as a cultural crossroads where indigenous and Spanish influences merged into a distinct identity that still shapes the region surrounding San Antonio. The release of the quarter in 2019, during the final years of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, came at a time when interest in historical storytelling through coinage was at a high point, and the United States Mint sought to create a design that reflected both faith and function, which is why the cross divides the reverse into 4 quadrants, symbolizing the 4 missions within the park, while also echoing the shape of historic Spanish silver reals coins that once circulated throughout colonial Texas, tying past and present together in metal. The symbols of the lion, wheat, sheaf bell, and river each represent essential aspects of mission life, including Spanish heritage, agriculture, daily worship, and the sustaining natural environment. And this thoughtful composition distinguishes the coin from many other quarters in the series because it emphasizes community structure rather than landscape scenery. Collectors appreciate this coin not only for its artistry, but also for its representation of Texas identity, beyond the usual imagery of cowboys, oil wells, or lone stars, offering instead a deeper narrative rooted in cultural exchange, faith, perseverance, and adaptation. And as millions of these quarters entered circulation, they carried with them the memory of centuries of history. From the first mission foundations laid in the 1700s to modern preservation efforts ensuring that even in everyday transactions, Americans could encounter a reminder of the enduring legacy of the San Antonio missions, where history is not frozen in time but continues to live through active parishes, community celebrations, and the flowing waters of the San Antonio River that have sustained the site for more than 300 years.